My name is Clilly. How do you say that? That's Lily with a C. In New York, it's particularly hard to say. It's like, what? Chili, Willy? It's silly. I know I'm silly on most occasions, but it's actually Clilly. And today, I want to talk to you about the convergence of crowd participation, ergo the balls, and storytelling. In 2004, I was invited to co-produce the electronic theater at the Siggraph conference. Now, that conference is about computer graphics and interactive techniques. And the pre-show, the electronic theater is like the premier event there for where art schools and professional studios like Disney and Pixar compete for prestigious prizes in computer graphics and animation. And we said, we want to make it easy for ourselves. Let's make a crowd game for the pre-show. Okay, what that meant was we got together a full complement of gifted computer scientists, engineers, game designers, and we came up with a game that's, a name that will live on forever. Maybe not. It was called Squidball. Now, okay, Squidball, what does that mean? All right, so what Squidball is, it's a large-scale, real-time interactive game. The audience is asked to keep aloft large helium balloons in the air. Now, in order to score points, they have to keep it moving on a path that they see displayed on the big screen. It wasn't easy, but I watched them play for over 4 nights with crowds up to 4,000 people. And what I saw was amazing because within 10 seconds, the crowd organized and they had fun. And they engaged with one another. So you start playing with some guy from Pixar, you never know that you may be playing with John Lasseter or somebody, and it's like, yo, John, that was awesome. So what I observed was that if you gave people a common goal, they rise to the occasion and collaborate. And their reaction seems instinctual, as if it's coming from a natural force. And that's what changed me. I saw that there was potential in group engagements. So 3 years after Squidball, I started my own company. And what we did was we created a platform for interactive experiences on the large screen. Now, what made us different was you needed for the crowd to play in order to engage with the big screen. So that means you needed to move your body left or right, your arms up or down. You could vocalize, or you could, later on, a few years later, we could start putting input on our digital phones. But you had to work as a team in order for it to be shown on the big screen within the game. And as we know, majorities rule. The first 15 years of my life, my professional life, as I like to say, I was a musician. And the best thing I loved about being a musician was performing on stage. A great teacher once gave me some of the best advice. She said to me, Clilly, when you get on that stage, engage with the audience, connect with them, smile, and they will smile back. Breathe with them, and they will breathe with you. Well, once I started doing that, everything was great. I couldn't wait to get on that stage, and the best part about it was the lingering memories of the intimate connections I had made with the audience long after the show was over. So what I feel is so important to talk about today, besides technology and all that other stuff, was connecting and collaborating, and taking those experiences that the audience gives to you and putting that into a story world. Now, all right, to create this Squidball game, let me give you the logistics of it. It took 48 motion capture cameras, 8 computers almost taller than me. Okay, I'm not that tall, but they were pretty big. And I had a full complement of computer scientists and engineers working with me on this game. It was a lot of fun. But you couldn't replicate that. So if you fast forward to 2008, when computing power became cheaper and smaller, we were able to achieve better results with one camera and one computer. Now I'm going to show you just a short video of a crowd game we did, and the audience is quite interesting.
The sweetest movie waiting experience I've ever had.
It's beautiful. Yes. It's perfect. Yes. There is no better family entertainment than that, my friends. Thank you. Thank you.
They just spontaneously, they didn't know they were going to be playing a game. They put up a brick breaker game, and we had a camera there, and they just started to play. And in fact, they made us play it 3 times. That one guy in the front really got it, and that was, okay, well, but it was spontaneous, and if you could see enough of the audience, you could see that the age range was pretty dynamic. So we had, because it was Spider-Man, so you had grandma taking the kids, and you had the teenagers, of course, but you had a full range, and they were all playing because they wanted to try it. Okay, well, now in 2015, we have. That's coming. Sorry. Stop it. Stop it. Now in 2015, we've made great strides in computer vision and in optics and in physical computing, and our networks are much faster. And so what we're doing is we're building out a two-way communication between the story world and the audience. And the crowds, they're getting bigger. One of my favorite events is the one I did for the Lyon Festival of Lights. We were commissioned by Orange Mobile to set up a simple brick breaker game in the center of a beautiful town center. It was pre-Christmas time, or it was Christmas time. The air was crisp, everybody was having fun, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I'm projecting on to 20,000 people on a big Ferris wheel. Now you can imagine me climbing a Ferris wheel. That's a really interesting experience to put a screen up on. But what happened was, within moments of the game starting, they're starting to figure it out. They're starting to figure it out, and they start to sway, and then they start to smile. And when you see them smile, you know you've made a connection because you made them part of the experience. It wasn't one way, like watching a television show or going to a movie. They were part of it. Now I'm going to show you that video as well. It's just a short one.
Hey. Yes. Allez, encore. Oh purée, la balle. Allez, me laissez pas partir la balle. Attention, vous avez 350 points, il faut fermer. Oui. Bien, allez, à droite. Attention, la balle. Oui, joli.
Now, what inspired that crowd to play? I believe it was because the crowd could see in real time the actions that they were doing, the results of their actions. And it was fun. I would also say that by the sheer size of that screen, which scared me to this day, thinking of how high I got up on that, it was meaningful on that big screen. And what does that experience potentially, I think, felt like for the crowd? Well, it could be described as a physiological experience. You've stimulated the audience. You're taking them from a passive state to an active state. And it's almost like a state of flow. You know, the concept of the state of flow when you're totally immersed in doing something that you're really happy about. So the next big thing I got to talk about are the big screens and the big venues. Now, they're very important to us because they play a big role in our productions. Now, interacting with a big screen, interacting with a digital screen is something we all do. But when it's big, larger than life, it takes on a special feeling. You're engaged in it. You're immersed in it. It's not like being restricted to a small screen. Your sense of connection is enhanced and your imagination is engaged. But you know what? What's more important about the big venues, which are like cinemas and stadiums and concert halls and arenas, these places were built so that large crowds could gather to see something special. And most importantly, not to do it alone. Communal interaction is not new, okay? Remember the stories of the Roman Colosseums? Thumbs up, thumbs down, you know, I'm sure Game of Thrones, you get to see stuff like that all the time. You know, it's like being at the concert, you know, when the crowd, you know, wants an encore and up goes the light, more, more, more. It's the Mexican wave that erupts in the audience, and they collectively, they might not know who each other is, but they collectively engage because they want to cheer on their team. And that is a spontaneous experience. Okay, I'm gonna give you my confession. For me, it's a step to the left. How many of you know what that means? Okay. For me, that is one of my great crowd experiences of going to the 12 o'clock shows at Rocky Horror Picture Show, where you all got up and danced the time warp. I mean, I'm sure you all have had these kinds of experiences that you can reflect back on. And that's what I'm trying to tickle out here today. Jane McGonigal at her TED Talk, she's a great game researcher, she said, we like people better after we play games. We form bonds of trust and cooperation. And I think that's what we're doing with crowd play. Okay, so now's the demonstration time. You ready, Flick? Okay. We're gonna bring this up and hopefully. Oh, no. I'm sorry, this was, the way this room is shaped, it was not, we had to do this quickly, so, but you're seeing what we're doing. Oh my goodness, oh my God, did you get the bird yet? Here comes the bird. Oh, there's the bird. Okay, so now this is a bridge. This is a bridge between the virtual and the human world, okay? And that's, okay. Very good, very good. This is for Flick, well done you. But you see, this is a great example of collaborative play. All right, so I will take this off because it, okay. Function F4. Okay, so now comes the technical part of the talk. Using sensors like cameras, microphones, we can capture motion, sound, digital input, and we sum the activity of the audience. So our analysis happens in near real time, because you have to do it and then we capture it, and it's weighted by the majority of the activity generated by the audience. And that communicates back to the story world. So you're getting this two-way communication. You're actually talking to the game, but you're doing it as a collective. I'm sure you've all heard this, but this is the age of ubiquitous computing, okay? Now, someone near and dear to my heart when I was in university was a gentleman by the name of Mark Weiser. He was a brilliant scientist at Xerox PARC. And he coined this phrase in the 1990s. And he said that computing will recede into the background. It will cohabitate with us. It will be always on and ready at hand. As engineers, we're working to build that context-aware environment that Mark spoke of. It's a place that listens, and it's a place that responds. You know, technology is all around us and in our spaces, so why not co-opt their abilities for storytelling, for interactive, collective storytelling? Now, it's a binary conversation, and it's a simple dialogue, I agree, but once the storytellers and the game designers get involved, they start to develop these beautiful, beautiful worlds and these beautiful engagements, and the software facilitates the interaction. And the audience can be directed to move the story arc forward. So, together should you push the mysterious door? But you got to do it together, and you got to decide to do that together. The audience no longer is just the audience. In fact, they are members of the cast. Now, these are my thoughts on potential, okay? So I encourage creatives to explore the potential of these connections. If you're a screenwriter, a game developer, or an educator, you can use these tools to expand on the ideas, to enhance the environments, expand on the emotions, so that there are more opportunities to explore and participate in these story worlds. The audience now becomes your creative partner, and the experience is different every time, because not until you, the audience, are in that story space and make those decisions do you actually know how the story will turn out. A lot of people liken it to, make your own adventure. That's a start. Going back to my music days, songwriters always used to say that a song never took on its true meaning until it was played for the audience. That's when it resonated. That's when you knew what it meant, because you could see it in people's faces. You could see if it was bad, but you could also see if it connected. Something near and dear to my heart is, I think, for education. There's a lot of talk of computers in the school and whether they're really helpful or not. I think that that's a whole nother TED Talk, but I think that we can utilize these kinds of programs, these kind of interactive experiences, to enhance curriculums with virtual explorations. Like the famous John Dewey, the educator John Dewey, a very smart man in experiential learning. And he said, experiential learning is defined as learning through reflection on doing. So if you do these experiences and they linger with you, then you have something to reflect on. There's a cause and effect. It all works together. 10 years ago, this required a lot of technology. It was very expensive and experimental. But now the barriers are coming down. Computing is cheaper and faster, and there are venues that are open to doing these kinds of interactive stories, and I think now is the time when this type of storytelling can fully engage. Crowds. Crowds often get a bad reputation. They can be seen as forces of revolution and insurgency, but what actually brings a crowd together, if not to organize around something that they feel very strongly about or they want to be heard? I see crowds as bridges of humanity, agents of good change. And I invite the creatives to be inspired by the group consciousness that is being created by these experiences. My job is to continue to develop tools for everyone and anyone who wants to develop for these platforms. My job is to get the venues to be open to showing these types of interactions, and they're doing it now, and that's very exciting. And finally, I would encourage you, all of us, to connect, to collaborate, and to create. And if you do something really, really special, you will hear the roar of the crowd. Thank you very much.